Okay, so let's try to answer these questions for biology paper 1. So most of the students, they complain about biology paper 1, but what you need to know is you need to revise more when it comes to biology paper 1, because all the topics, they usually come. Let's try to revise the questions. So the first question is saying, all living things depend directly or indirectly on green plants for their energy. Which energy change in living things is brought about only by green plants? So we have option A, which is saying chemical energy to movement energy. This one is carried by both plants and animals, because once you eat food, it is going to be in form of the chemical energy. Once you eat that one, you're going to be able to move your body parts without an external help. And also the plants, they're also going to move their body parts. Okay, like the branches. Then as for B, heat energy to light energy. This one is not the answer. Then as for C, light energy to chemical energy. So light energy is representing the sun. Then chemical energy, just the energy now which is going to be produced now during photosynthesis, which is going to be what? Glucose. So meaning C is going to be the answer, because C is describing the process which occurs during the process of photosynthesis. So we can say C is going to be the answer. Question 2. A living organism absorbs glucose. So to absorb glucose, that one is going to involve now nutrition. Release energy from it. That one is going to involve respiration. And then passes out carbon dioxide. That one is going to be excretion. So we have three things here. We have excretion, nutrition, and also respiration. So now the question is saying, which characteristics can or be identified in the statement above? So we have the first one, which is supposed to be marked. As for excretion, supposed to be marked. Nutrition, supposed to be marked. Respiration, supposed to be marked. When it comes to growth, no, they haven't identified growth in the state. So growth, we need to have an X here. And also irritability or sensitivity here, we need to have what? An X here. Meaning the answer is going to be what? A. Then as for question 3, the four diagrams show the appearance of red blood cells. The red blood cells were placed in distilled water or in one of 3 sodium chloride solutions of different concentrations. Which cell was placed in distilled water? So distilled water is more like the pure water. So you need to understand what usually happens when you place a red blood cell or red blood cells in distilled water. So we are going to find that if this one is the beaker, and then in this beaker here we have the distilled water and also a red blood cell. So distilled water, it is going to have higher water potential. So we have what we call the higher water potential. Now this higher water potential, we can say lower concentration. So the other name for higher water potential, it is lower concentration. And in the red blood cell here, we are going to have lower water potential, which is higher concentration. So now you need to understand what usually happens when you place a red blood cell in distilled water. So once you place a red blood cell in distilled water, it is going to gain water by osmosis, meaning the size of the red blood cell, it is going to increase. And animals usually, they don't have the cell wall. That cell wall, they protect them from bursting. So we can say, so meaning from this stage here, it is going to increase in size up to this stage here. So since they don't have the cell wall, they can undergo bursting. So in talk of the bursting of an animal cell, that one we are going to call it as cell lysis. So cell lysis, it deals with the bursting of animal cells, not plant cells. So the plant cells, they don't burst. They just undergo what we call turgidity. So meaning, we can say that from this stage here, it is going to undergo the bursting. Now the bursting of an animal cell, let me repeat, it is called the cell lysis. So the question reads, the diagram shows an experiment to investigate the action of salivary amylase. So salivary amylase, it digests the carbohydrates. And usually the salivary amylase is produced by the salivary gland. So the contents of the tubes were tested with iodine solution after 1 hour. Usually we use the iodine solution if we want to test the presence of starch. Okay, so the temperature of water here, it is 37 degrees Celsius, which is the normal body temperature, meaning the salivary amylase is going to work well. So we have test tube number 1. So test tube number 1 is having 1 centimeter cubic of salivary and 5 centimeters cubic of starch, which is the solution. Then as for test tube number 2, it is also having the same volume of the saliva. And then when it comes to the starch, here we have the glucose solution as for test tube number 2. Then as for test tube number 3, we have the same volume. Now it's a volume of water. Then when it comes to the starch, we have the same volume of starch, which is 5 centimeters cubic of starch solution. Then as for test tube number 4, we have 1 centimeters cubic of boiled saliva and 5 centimeters cubic of starch solution. So the question reads, the context of which tubes will show a brown color as a result of this test? Okay, so as you can see, for the first one here, we have saliva not being boiled, just normal. And also we have the starch here, meaning here we are going to have blue-black. So here we need to have blue-black because both of them, they are normal. And then when it comes to number 2 here we have 1 centimeter cubic of saliva and 5 centimeters cubic of glucose. Even here we are going to have a positive result, which is blue-black. Then when it comes to test tube number 3, we are having 1 centimeter cubic of water. So here we don't have an enzyme, meaning we need to have the color, which is brown color. That's brown. Then as for test tube number 4, we have 1 centimeter cubic of boiled saliva. Meaning here, when we boil the saliva contains salivary amylase, which is an enzyme. So it is going to undergo denaturalization. Therefore, it is not going to catalyze the starch. So even here, we are going to have the brown color. So meaning the answer here is going to be what? D. The next question. The diagram shows a section through a villus in the small intestine. Which arrow shows the site of absorption for the named substances? So we have the outer part, which is called the epithelium. The epithelium absorbs 2 things here. It absorbs calcium and vitamin D. Then when it comes to the blood capillaries, they absorb also 2 things. The glucose and also the amino acids. 2 things. Then when it comes to the lacteal also absorbs 2 things. It absorbs fatty acids and glycerol. So let's try to look at the answers. We have option A, which is saying amino acids. Now amino acids, they are pointing at the lacteal. The part which absorbs the amino acids is the blood capillary, meaning A is not going to be the answer. As for B, we have calcium and vitamin D. So B is going to be the what? The answer. The next question. The diagram shows part of the digestive system. In which part is bile made? So in which part is bile made? So the bile is made in the liver. So you can say the liver is A. Let's see the next question. The next question is coming from Osmosis, and it is saying, a raw potato strip was placed in solutions of different concentration. The length of a potato was measured regularly. The graph shows the length of the potato strip in solutions of different concentration. In which period of time was the potato strip in distilled water? So when a potato is placed in distilled water, it is going to gain water by osmosis. Suppose we have a beaker, and in this beaker we have the distilled water and also the potato, which is a raw potato. Water is going to enter the potato, meaning the potato is going to increase in size. Now according to the graph that we have here, at point A or option A here, the potato was decreasing in size. So the potato can only decrease in size when it is placed in the concentrated sugar solution or salt solution. So as for option A is not going to be the answer. Then when it comes to B, it is showing that the potato strip, which is the raw potato strip, was placed in isotonic solution. Meaning, the net movement of water was like entering and leaving the cell. So it was in equilibrium state. Meaning meaning B is not going to be the answer. Then when it comes to C is indicating that the potato strip was gaining water, which is the same as this one here. So you can say C is going to be the answer, because C is illustrating that once you place the potato strip in distilled water, it is going to gain water by what? By osmosis, and so on. So let's see the next question. So the next question is saying, the diagram shows a capillary network near the surface of the skin. So we have the capillary network. So here we have muscle X, okay. Then the direction of the blood is coming from the artery, going here to the vein. The question is saying, what happens if muscle X relaxes? As you can see on this diagram here, if muscle X relaxes, meaning the blood is going to pass through this channel here up to the capillary network. Now, that one can only be done when the temperature increases, right? So you're going to find that once the temperature increases of your body, muscle X is going to relax. Now, option A was saying the body temperature increases. Okay. Then B was saying a greater heat loss occurs from the body. Okay. Then C was saying more sweat will occur from the skin. So the answer is going to be what? C. So to answer this question, you need to be very, very careful. Why are we saying C? When your body temperature rises up, you're going to find that more sweat will occur from the skin. Now that one can occur only when the muscle at X relaxes. Then as for the next question, which change occurs in the liver to lower the blood sugar level? So when talk of blood sugar, we are talking about glucose. So meaning if you are having high level of blood sugar, what is going to happen, or what will be the conversion? So you can say it's from the glucose into what? Glycogen. Because the liver is able to store glucose in form of what? Glycogen, not just glucose directly like that. So we can say A is going to be the answer. From glucose to glycogen. Then as for the next question, what is the function of the cartilage at a joint? So we have A, it allows smooth movement of a bone. Then as for B, it holds the bones firmly together. C, it prevents dislocation of the joint. Then D, it prevents attachment points for muscles. So as for the cartilage, this one here provides what? The cushioning, meaning smooth movement of the bone. So you can say the answer here is just going to be what? A. The next one. The diagram shows 3 bones from the human skeleton. So we have bone X, bone Y, and bone Z. When talk of bone X, this one is called the humerus. So X is called the humerus. For Y, it is called the scapula. Z is going to be the radius, not the ulna. Why are we saying radius? Because ulna is longer than the radius. So meaning the answer here is going to be what? B, not A. Let's see the next question. The next question is saying, the diagram shows the inheritance of sex. We have the parents, which are the mother and the father. Possible gametes. So the mother is more like the female. So in talk of the sex chromosomes, we have 2 types of sex chromosomes. We have the X chromosome and also the Y chromosome. The XX chromosome, they are going to determine the sex of the mother or the female. Then as for the XY, it is going to determine the sex of the father or the male. So the question is saying which chromosomes are present in the gametes P, Q, R, and S. So as for P, we are going to have X, Q, we are going to have X, then at R, we are going to have X, then at S, we are going to have Y. So we can say P is going to be X, Q is going to be X, then R is going to be X, S is going to be Y. As the result, the answer is going to be what? C. The next question. The diagram shows the stages in the life cycle of a housefly. Which stage causes bacterial contamination of food? This one here, it is an adult housefly. This one is an egg. Then this one is going to be the larva stage. Then this one is going to be the pupa stage. So now, the only stage here which can contaminate the food is going to be what? D. Why are we saying D? Because this adult housefly can be able to migrate or can be able to move, thereby carrying the pathogens or the bacteria from one place to another. The next question. The next question is saying, the diagram shows the structure of human skin. So we have part X, which is called the sweat gland. Then part Y, it is called the air elector muscle or air elector muscles. Then as for Z, it is the sensory neuron. Now, we have also this term here. Before I even rush to the question, we have also this term here which they are saying the receptor. So what is a receptor? So a receptor is an organ part which converts the stimulus into an impulse. So the receptor converts the stimulus into an impulse. Then when we talk of effectors, the effectors, these are just any organ parts that can respond to the particular stimulus. So now the question is saying, what are X, Y, and Z? So we are saying X is the sweat gland. Then Y, it is the air elector muscle. Then when it comes to Z, it is the sensory neuron. Meaning the answer here is going to be what? C. The next question. 4 processes occur when impulses cross a synapse. When talk of the synapse, this one is just the gap in between two neurons. So neurons, they are not attached together. They have a space. Now that space, we are going to call it as the synapse or synapse. So we have P, where the neurotransmitter diffuse across the gap. Then Q, neurotransmitter binds with receptors. Then we have R, impulse stimulates viscerals. Then S, release of neurotransmitters or transmitter. Now the question is saying, what is the correct sequence for these processes? So the first one, the impulse is going to be stimulated by the viscerals, meaning R is going to be the first process. So we have R. Then the next one, once now the impulse stimulates the viscerals, they are going to secrete now, or they are going to release what we call the neurotransmitters, meaning S is going to follow. So we have R followed by S. Then once the neurotransmitters are released by the viscerals, you are going to find that P is going to follow, where we are going to find that the neurotransmitters, they are going to diffuse across the gap. So we are going to have P. Then the last one definitely is going to be what? Q, where now the neurotransmitters are going to be binded with the receptors. So we can say the answer here is going to be what? C. Then the next one. Which hormone is involved in the conversion of glucose to glycogen? So the hormone which is involved in the conversion of glucose to glycogen, it is called the insulin. So we can say the answer here is just going to be B. The next question. The diagram represents a section through a flower. What are the names of the labeled structure? So we have W. So W is called the anther. So from the anther, that is when now the pollen grains are secreted. Then we have part X. Part X is called the stigma. So that is when now the pollen grains lands on. Then when it comes to part Y is called the ovary. So the ovaries, they produce the ovules. So Z is going to be the ovule. So we can say that the answer here is going to be which one? It is going to be A. Then the next question. The diagram shows the blood supply of the liver. Which blood vessel would have the highest concentration of glucose after 24 hours without food? Without what? Food. So we can imagine that, suppose the person is starving. And most of the glucose or nutrients are absorbed in the small intestine. Now, this part here, which is the ileum, it is the part of the small intestine. So now, if a person has food, meaning part C is going to contain the highest concentration of what? Glucose. But here they are saying without food, meaning C is not going to be the answer. When a person is starving, and the liver is capable of storing glucose in form of the glycogen. So if someone is starving, meaning that glycogen is going to be converted back now into what? Glucose. So once it is converted back into glucose, as you can see the arrows here, we have this arrow which is taking blood downward or giving blood to the liver, and also this one here which is carrying out blood from the liver. So we can see that once the glycogen has been converted back into glucose, D is going to have the highest concentration of what? Glucose. So the answer here is going to be D. The next question. So capital letter H is the dominant allele, and small letter h, the recessive allele, controlling a character in humans. The diagram shows the genotypes of two parents. So we have the father and the mother. So the mother and the father, they are representing the phenotype. Then capital letter H, they are representing the genotype. Capital letter H and small letter h, they are representing the genotype also of the mother. Now the question is saying, what are the chances of their child carrying the recessive allele? So we can just continue from this step whereby we split the gametes here. So we are going to have H. Even here H. Even here we are going to have H. Even here we are going to have H, which is small letter h. So this one is going to be close with this one. Then we are going to have H, capital letters. Then this one here we are going to have H, capital letter and the small letter. Then here we are going to have H, the capital letters. Then here we are going to have H, capital letter and the small letter. So this one is the recessive. And also this one is the recessive, because we have H here, which is small letter h. Even here we have small letter h. Now how many are they? There are 2. So we can say 2 divided by the total number of offsprings that we have here. So they are about 4. So we can say 4 multiplied by 100%. So computing this one, we are going to get 50%. Meaning the answer here is just going to be B. The next question. The diagram shows stages in the life cycle of the mosquito. Stage 1, stage 2, 3, and 4 on the surface of water. At which stages would insecticide be effective in controlling the numbers of mosquitoes? So here they are talking about numbers of mosquitoes. If you talk of adults, even by now we are failing to control them. So 4 is not going to be effective. But if we apply the insecticide on stage number 3, we are going to find that the eggs are going to be killed. So 3 is going to be effective. And also on stage 2, which is the larva stage, we can also kill the larva, this one here, once we apply the insecticide. But as for stage number 1, this one is just going to be a bit tricky, because As for the pupa or pupa, this one is able to move in water by feeding on aquatic plants and animals. So this one is going to be difficult. So you can just say 2 and 3. Then the answer is going to be which one? B. The last questions. So the first one is saying, the diagram shows the position of 3 types of gland in the body. So we have gland 1, which is called the pancreas. So the pancreas secretes glucagon. Then gland number 2, it is called the adrenal gland. So the adrenal gland secretes what we call the adrenal lines. So we have gland number 2 secreting adrenal line. Then the last one, it is the ovary. So these ovaries, they secrete what we call the estrogen, which is 3. So we need to have the adrenal line for 2, then glucagon 1, estrogen 3. So the answer is going to be C. Then the last one, the diagram shows what happens to fat in the alimentary canal. We have a large piece of fat being broken down to form these smaller ones. The enzyme is going to be applied at stage 2, and also the process at 3 here is going to occur. Now, the last one here, we are going to have small droplets of what? Fats, which are going to be small molecules. So these now, they are going to be soluble. They are going to be absorbed by the bloodstream. So we can say, now the question is saying, which row correctly identifies 1, 2, 3, and 4? So at stage 1, for this large piece of fat to be broken down, mechanical digestion or physical digestion is going to occur. So we need to have mechanical or physical digestion. Then, at number 2, we have the enzyme here. Now, the fat is coming from the lipids. Lipids, they consist of 2 things, oils and the fats. When you talk of the protease, this enzyme here, it digests the proteins, not fats. But when you talk of the lipase, this one here digests what? The fats or the lipids. Then stage 3. Stage 3 is just definitely going to be what? Chemical digestion. Why are we saying chemical digestion? Because the enzymes here are being used up. So it's chemical digestion. Then small molecules now, they are going to be soluble, meaning they are going to be absorbed into the bloodstream. So we can say the answer here is just going to be C. So that was the last one. Thanks for watching.